There is a specific kind of silence that happens right after your heart breaks, a quiet so loud it drowns out everything else. I stood in the flickering glow of paper lanterns, staring at the ruins of what was supposed to be my celebration. My entire life had been a series of quiet sacrifices for the people standing around me. But that night, the laughter of my own flesh and blood proved that my devotion meant absolutely nothing to them. For as long as I could remember, my role in the family was to be the steady anchor who never needed a life jacket. My mother, Vivienne, always showered my sister Chloe with praise while treating my accomplishments like minor footnotes. When I moved away to build my career, they only reached out when a bill needed paying or a crisis needed solving. I became a ghost in my own family, valued only for the financial security I provided from afar. The backyard was decorated perfectly for my homecoming party, smelling of sweet charcoal and summer rain, looking like a picture from a home design magazine. Yet, nobody asked about my new promotion or the endless hours I had poured into my success. Instead, the entire evening centered around Chloe and her son, Austin, who sat like royalty while my mother doted on them. My achievements were pushed to the literal edge of the table, treated like an afterthought that nobody cared to notice. The tension finally snapped when Austin ran toward the food table with a malicious grin on his face. He loudly announced that my mother claimed I only worked hard to make everyone else look bad, and then he deliberately shoved my celebratory cake onto the ground. Frosting splattered across the dark wood deck as everyone erupted into cruel amusement. My mother laughed loudest of all, telling me not to be so dramatic as I stood there in total shock. I did not say a single word as I turned around and walked into the dark night, leaving their mocking voices behind me. The drive back to my apartment was a blur of highway lines and a strange, cold clarity that settled deep into my bones. By the time I walked through my front door, my phone buzzed with a message from Vivienne stating they were cutting me off forever. Chloe even added a digital heart next to the harsh text, cementing their collective betrayal. Sitting in the quiet of my living room, I opened my laptop and looked at the financial spreadsheet that had bound us together for 3 long years. I was the co-signer on my mother's heavy mortgage and Chloe's luxury vehicle, automatically paying over $1,000 every month. They had convinced me it was my duty as the responsible sibling to carry their burdens. But tonight, I realized those loans were just velvet handcuffs keeping me trapped. The next morning, I walked into the local bank branch with a folder full of legal documents and a determination I had never felt before. The loan officer reviewed my evidence, showing that I held no physical ownership of the properties despite making all the payments. He helped me sign the official paperwork to freeze their joint credit access and fully remove my name from both liabilities. With one stroke of a pen, I severed the final financial tether holding me down. By afternoon, my phone was vibrating constantly with furious messages from Vivienne and Chloe, demanding to know why their accounts were suddenly frozen. They accused me of ruining their lives, but not a single message contained an apology for how they had treated me. I simply replied that I was no longer funding the lifestyles of people who took joy in my humiliation. I set the device down, feeling a profound sense of peace wash over me. 3 days later, loud and aggressive banging echoed through my apartment door as my mother and sister demanded to be let inside. Through the security monitor, I watched their faces contorted with rage as they screamed about ruined credit scores and imminent car repossessions. Realizing they would never respect my peace, I opened my emergency application and quietly requested the local police to remove two trespassers from my property. When the authorities arrived, Vivienne tried to play the victim, shouting that she had parental rights to confront her ungrateful child. The officers firmly informed her that private property laws applied to everyone, forcing my screaming relatives out of the building. Watching them walk away under the flashing blue lights felt like a heavy weight was finally lifted from my chest. I saved the security footage as a permanent reminder of the boundaries I had successfully built. In the weeks that followed, my mother tried to ruin my reputation by posting public lies online about how I stole their money. Instead of fighting back with anger, I sent a brief, professional note to my close friends and colleagues asking them to ignore the drama. The truth did not need me to shout it from the rooftops because time always reveals who people truly are. Eventually, the bank confirmed my total release, and the malicious internet posts quietly vanished into obscurity. Months passed into a beautiful, quiet routine where I finally thrived in a career that valued my dedication and among friends who truly loved